Comcast is one of the companies that has the most to gain if the FCC does in fact reverse Title II net neutrality regulations. Now, they've spent more than $3.7 million on lobbying in 2017 alone. So if you don't think that they want this to go through, you are horribly mistaken, my friend. But in spite of what Comcast is in fact intending to do, they are assuring the public that we have nothing to be worried about, because Comcast CEO Dave Watson released a statement saying, whether you are a Comcast customer or just an interested observer, you may be hearing a lot about net neutrality and openness of the internet. Let me be clear, Comcast supports strong, legally enforceable net neutrality protections that ensure a free and open internet for all of our customers. Our customers expect that we will protect their right to enjoy an open internet, and that is exactly what we do every day. At face value, that may sound lovely, but the problem is that they're lying. Because on April 26th, they put out this article titled Comcast Supports Net Neutrality and Reversal of Title II Classification. Title II is not net neutrality, except that that is a contradiction, because Title II is net neutrality because it guarantees that net neutrality is the law of the land. Those are things that are inextricably linked. You can't separate them. So Comcast is lying to the public, and they also state, while some try to conflate the two issues, Title II and net neutrality are not the same. Title II is a source of authority to impose enforceable net neutrality rules. Title II is not net neutrality. Getting rid of Title II does not mean that we are repealing net neutrality protections for American consumers. Actually, that's exactly what it means. And if you are in favor of net neutrality, then why would you support the repeal of net neutrality requirements? So you support net neutrality, but you want those requirements to be repealed? I mean, what's the point of that? That makes no sense. It's inherently contradictory. So which is it? I mean, Comcast wants to have it both ways, but you can't have it both ways. Either you support net neutrality in Title II, or you are against the so-called open internet, as you like to put it. But Comcast is playing loose with the facts, or they're just actually lying. We can just call it what it is. They're lying. And, you know, if you don't believe that Comcast is lying, ask yourself this. What would the most hated company in America have to gain from reversing net neutrality rules? Well, a lot, actually. That CEO that lied to you would receive a huge bonus. He might be able to buy a fourth mansion. So there's a lot at stake for him, and this is a really important issue that's dear to his heart. Now, everyone's lying to us because the FCC also argues that we have nothing to worry about because internet service providers weren't throttling websites once the old net neutrality rules expired prior to the new ones being codified in 2015. But in fact, that's exactly what they did. They throttled Netflix. Comcast throttled one of their biggest competitors, Netflix, and demanded a ransom. In fact, in 2014, Comcast argued that it was only fair that Netflix pay for putting so much data on its networks, according to Quartz. In fact, you can see that the video quality of Netflix dropped off significantly once the old net neutrality rules expired, but once they paid their ransom to Comcast, all of a sudden the quality of their video streaming improved significantly. So Comcast could make millions, as they did from Netflix. So this is about pay to play. This is about throttling the speed of websites that don't pay this ransom. This is about censoring content. So Comcast could not like that Breitbart, for example, is posting articles that aren't kind to Comcast, and then what they could do is throttle the bandwidth to Breitbart to punish them, so that way the traffic just comes to a crawl and nobody can access Breitbart because the website is just so slow. That's what Comcast can do. You are putting control of the internet in the hands of internet service providers that have a fiduciary responsibility to increase shareholder value, and they will make millions of dollars. Actually, fuck that. They'll make billions of dollars if net neutrality is killed. This is what the internet could look like if net neutrality is rolled back. Comcast profits would go through the roof. And all of this propaganda that Comcast is disseminating about net neutrality and how they refer to it as the open internet, it sounds really similar to the way that the FCC's chairman, who came from the industry, talks about net neutrality. It almost seems as though these Republicans, both in Congress and on the FCC, are using the same talking points as the industry. Oh wait, it's because they are. They were caught taking talking points straight from the industry. So this is about corruption. This is about Republican lawmakers and bureaucrats doing the bidding of these internet service providers so that way they can make more money. Now, we haven't even gotten to the worst part yet because propaganda is just one component of this story. So destroying your opponent is a completely different thing that Comcast is trying to do. So let me explain. So as you all know, 2.6 million people submitted comments to the FCC, and when the FCC and internet service providers saw how the public responded overwhelmingly against these new rules, they decided to do a little bit of astroturf and impersonate people and submit comments against net neutrality. So there were thousands of comments that were fake that were submitted in support of the new rules when those are bogus comments. People are having their names used to file complaints under the FCC. Now, some people named this phenomenon Comcastroturf, appropriately so, because they're not real comments, and a website was set up so that way you can input your name and see if anybody impersonated you and filed a complaint in support of these new rules on your behalf. And Comcast is now trying to shut this website down. Interesting. So we see fake, bogus comments being submitted to the FCC to counter the millions that are being submitted in support of net neutrality, and Comcast wants to shut that website down. Common Dreams explains Comcast is now threatening legal action, saying the website Comcastroturf.com is infringing on its trademark. The cease and desist order dated last week says the domain name is confusingly similar to the Comcast trademark because it sounds the same, looks the same, and is spelled similarly to Comcast. The letter, signed by a cyber threat analyst at Looking Glass Cybersecurity Center, instructs the domain holder Fight for the Future to take all steps necessary to see that the domain name is assigned to Comcast, and says that if the order is not immediately complied with, then the cable giant will pursue its claims for damages. So what we have here is an example of a behemoth like Comcast trying to shut down, censor, and bully a smaller website before net neutrality has even been destroyed yet. So they're telling you they're going to protect net neutrality, and everything that we're worried about would never come to fruition. They're saying they would never bully smaller websites. They would keep the internet free and open, but yet here they are before these new rules even get past being bullies to smaller websites that are trying to protect net neutrality. So this is a really nefarious thing that Comcast is doing, and it's a snapshot of what's to come if net neutrality is killed. You are putting the hands of the internet in control of fascistic corporations that don't care about anything but profits. They don't care about how the internet gives us access to crucial information and how it's become a part of democracy. And again, Comcast stated, Comcast supports strong, legally enforceable net neutrality protections that ensure a free and open internet for all of our customers. Then why are you trying to kill off a website, Comcast? This is also obvious. They're shameless. You know, this is just brazen.
Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
Everyone has to mobilize. We have to fight this. HumanistReport.com/save the internet. All the resources you need will be right there.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.